Okay, so you've heard the term intermittent fasting just about everywhere, right? From health blogs to your coworker's lunch break. But what's actually going on inside your body when you change when you eat? Today, we're going to dive deep into the science to see how this eating pattern can trigger some seriously powerful biological changes, from your metabolism all the way down to your cells. And this right here, this is the whole idea in a nutshell. For so long, we've been told that what we eat is everything. But what if when we eat is just as important? Think about it. Our modern world is pretty much built around constant access to food. 3 meals, snacks in between. But intermittent fasting, it completely flips that script. It makes us ask a totally different question about our relationship with food. So here's what that looks like in the real world. Over on the left, you've got the standard modern pattern, kind of grazing, with our eating spread out across most of the day. But on the right, you see this simple but really powerful shift. All we're doing is shrinking that eating window. By creating a longer, deliberate fasting period each day, we're just giving our bodies a break. It becomes less about counting every single calorie and a lot more about just counting the hours on a clock. Right, so let's be super clear about this. Intermittent fasting isn't a diet in the traditional sense. It's not about cutting out certain food groups or sticking to a specific menu. It's an eating pattern. The whole focus is on timing, creating these deliberate cycles between periods when you eat and periods when you don't. You can almost think of it as creating a schedule for your metabolism. And there are a few popular ways people do this. Probably the most common is that time-restricted feeding, like the 16-8 method we just saw. Some approaches are a bit more intense, like alternate day fasting, where you seriously restrict calories every other day. And then there's the 5-2 diet. You eat normally for 5 days and have 2 very low-calorie days. But you know what? Even though the methods are different, the goal is exactly the same. Create a fasting window that's long enough to let your body's biology shift gears. So what's happening during that window? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. After about 12 hours without food, your body flips what scientists call a metabolic switch. It basically stops running on the sugar from your last meal and starts burning its own stored fat for energy. When it does that, it produces these molecules called ketones. And this isn't some new age trick. This is a fundamental survival mechanism that's been baked into our biology for thousands of years. But that metabolic switch? That's just the beginning. The real magic of fasting, some would say, happens at a microscopic level. It triggers this amazing cleanup crew inside your body. So let's zoom in and see what's really going on inside your cells. The star of this whole cellular show is a process called autophagy. I know, it's a weird word, but it literally means self-eating. And honestly, that's a pretty great description. It's your body's internal recycling program. When you're fasting, your cells take that opportunity to clear out old, damaged, junky components. It's like a deep spring cleaning for every single cell in your body. And this is how that cleanup process basically works, broken down into 3 simple steps. First, the cell identifies all the junk it needs to get rid of, things like busted proteins or worn-out parts. Next, it collects all that waste into what's basically a tiny biological trash bag. And finally, that bag gets sent to the cell's recycling center, where everything inside is broken down and the raw materials are reused. And fasting is one of the most powerful ways we know of to switch this essential process on. Okay, so we're not just cleaning up our cells. Fasting also fundamentally rewires the body's chemical communication system, your hormones. So it's not just about changing the fuel source, it's about changing the signals that are running the entire show. This slide tells a really simple but absolutely crucial story. In the fed state, right after you eat, the hormone insulin is high. Its main job is to get sugar out of your blood and into your cells to be used for energy or stored as fat. And here's the key. When insulin is high, fat burning is basically turned off. But in the fasted state, your insulin levels drop a lot. And that drop is the signal. It's the key that unlocks your fat stores and tells your body, all right, time to start burning our own reserves. And insulin isn't the only hormone that gets in on the action. As you can see here, other key players get involved. T3, which is a thyroid hormone that helps set your metabolic rate, it dips a little as your body tries to conserve energy. And then there's cortisol, the famous stress hormone. It actually goes up. But wait, before you think that's a bad thing, there's more to the story. Now, that rise in cortisol might sound alarming, but it's so important to see it in context. These hormonal changes aren't some modern biohack. They are a deeply ingrained survival adaptation. This whole response is designed to keep us sharp, focused, and efficient when food isn't around, which, for our ancestors, was a pretty common reality. So, we've talked about the how, the metabolic switch, the cellular cleanup, the hormonal shifts. Now let's get to the why.
What are the potential health benefits that all of this could lead to, according to the science?
Well, the research points to a pretty wide range of potential pluses. By improving how our bodies respond to insulin, fasting might help with blood sugar control. That switch to burning fat can, not surprisingly, help with weight and fat loss. There are also studies suggesting it could improve heart health markers like blood pressure and cholesterol. And for the brain, researchers are looking at links to better thinking and even protecting our neurons. And all of this is supported by that powerful cellular repair process, autophagy. This quote from researcher Yang Yang just sums it all up perfectly. The goal of all these processes isn't to create chaos in the body, it's to create balance, what scientists call homeostasis. Intermittent fasting seems to be a tool that can help the body recalibrate and maintain its internal equilibrium, all through these ancient hormonal and metabolic shifts. But, and this is a really big but, it's not a magic bullet. Intermittent fasting is definitely not a one-size-fits-all solution. And it comes with some very real challenges and important things to consider that we have to talk about.
Yeah, let's be realistic here. Fasting isn't always easy. Just sticking to the schedule can be tough, especially when you're starting out. You might deal with hunger, feeling irritable, a little bit of brain fog. There's also a risk of low blood sugar for some people, and you have to be careful to get all your nutrients in during a shorter eating window. It's also really important to know that the hormonal effects can be complex, especially for women, and that's an area where we definitely need more research.
And here's the bottom line. While a lot of the short-term research is really promising, the long-term effects in big human studies are still being figured out. And that's why it is so important for anyone with a pre-existing health condition, like diabetes, or anyone who's pregnant or has a history with eating disorders, to approach this with extreme caution and always talk to a doctor first.
So at the end of all this, we're left with this absolutely fascinating question. We've spent decades focusing on what we eat, the fats, the carbs, the proteins, but the science of intermittent fasting suggests that maybe, just maybe, the clock is as important as the kitchen. It's a powerful idea, and it shifts our focus from just the ingredients of our health to its rhythm and its timing. And that's definitely something worth thinking about.